Good day to one and all. This is Dr. Sivaraman of iknowindices.com. The audibility is fine. Let me display. Good day, Sandra. Thanks for confirming it. I displayed the PowerPoint presentation. So, Asian session live market analysis on November 21st between 5 and 5:30 GMT. We will review the market using the live market code page. I've given the link for the same. Let me display the camera over that of the live market code page. Now you should be able to see the live market code page. Euro is currently trading around 1.3523, 1.3525. It's just consolidating with 000 net change. And the low is 1.3503, the high is 1.3537. And a nominal swing is seen in the case of Euro. It's mostly making the consolidation around the middle level of the day. Now GBP is just weakened about 50 pips and 1.5746, 1.5750 are the current levels, 1.5736 is the low, 1.5796 is the high. So it is again making a lower level swing when Euro is making a swing around that of the middle level. GBP is making a lower level swing and showing about 58 pips negative net change. And in the case of yen, it is trading around 76.78, 76.81, 76.77 is the low, 76.92 is the high. Again, a very narrow range consolidation and 10 pips negative net change is seen. So when Euro is showing positive net change and GBP is showing negative net change, we know that it is a contrarian move. Similarly, when GBP is making a negative net change, USD yen is also making a negative net change in order to make a downward move in the case of Euro yen and GBP yen. They are just making a lower level consolidation and probably a brief downward stop, and they could do it before making the rise in the case of Euro yen and especially in the case of GBP yen. So Euro yen is making a nominal dip of 13 pips, whereas GBP yen is making about 61 pips negative net change. So the psychological level 120, they could just test it, and later on they are expected to gain the levels again during the day. In the case of CHF, you find that it is again making a contrarian move when Euro is showing a nominal positive net change, 000 still, but USD CHF is showing about 11 pips positive net change. So it is currently trading around 91.77, 91.80, 91.62 is the low, 91.82 is the high, and it is trading closer to the high. And when Euro and USD CHF make positive net change, we know that it is a contrarian move. In order to gain the levels in the case of Euro CHF, it is just consolidating around 1.24 area, 1.2412 is the low, 1.2415 is the high, 1.2387 is the low. Below that is the psychological level 1.24, and the high is 1.2415. It is trading closer to the high with 15 pips positive net change. It is a cumulative effect of Euro gain as well as the USD CHF gain. But in the case of the commodity pairs, they are making the USD weakening move, USD strengthening move. USD CAD is showing the level of 1.0286, 1.0290, 1.0273 is the low, 1.0297 is the high, and 11 pips positive net change is seen. And Australian dollar is showing about 30 pips negative net change, trading below that of the parity 0.9976, 0.9979. For the current level, 0.9944 is the low, 1.0012 is the high. So now you find that commodity pairs are making the USD gaining move when others are just holding around that of the Friday close level. So this indicates that the players are expected to make the year-end move, as the gaining moves in the case of Euro and GBP, and also in the case of USD yen and USD CHF, and they are expected to make the gaining move in the case of USD CAD, and that will be USD gaining move, and Australian dollar is expected to make further drop, and that will be again a USD gaining move. A contrarian move is expected to continue in the coming days. So Just because your Australian dollar has made that drop, if you try to take a buy position, you should be able to exit out of that very quickly. Otherwise, it may show loss. Whereas in the case of Euro and GBP, dips are buy opportunities. They are expected to gain the levels. And similarly, in the case of USD Yen and USD CHF. So you could come across Euro and GBP making the USD weakening move in coming days. Whereas in the case of USD Yen, USD CHF, USD CAD and Australian dollar, they are all expected to make the USD gaining moves. So that sort of contrarian moves are expected to happen. On 24th onwards, you come across the Thanksgiving Day. The players might hold it with a nominal gains, and afterwards, for the year end, they are expected to gain aggressively in the case of Euro and GBP. So let me go back to that of the PowerPoint presentation. So expected market moves for today. Swing and slide moves might be seen during the Japanese session. After holding around that of the current levels, they could slowly make a small slide as the week beginning false move and a quick drop during the early European session. And then that may give a sentiment, probably GBP they could breach the low, and which may result in a brief downward stop. And in the case of Euro, and later on, they are expected to gain the levels very quickly using some data release or whatever the comments and things like that. And there, towards late European session, the market is expected to gain the levels, and swing and gain moves or rise moves are expected during the US session. So, buy and sell trades are recommended. Buy during quick downward stop and book profit during an upward move using a trailing stop could be the best trading strategy for the current season. So, a brief week beginning false move of a drop may be seen during the early European session, and try to take the buy positions. Use the hedging order to limit the risk, and there might be so many attributes that the market might collapse and things like that, or Euro could revisit 1.34, 1.33 and things like that, and trade calmly, because when Euro is capable of going down in a very big way, then they can silently take sell positions. They need not publicize it openly. So you have to always keep and understand that there is a cunningness involved whenever the market projections are given by the vested people. So you have to keep it in mind and trade objectively and try to see the price actions before you to take trading decisions. And you know that our trading ideas are always we try to buy near that of the low, book profit near that of the high, or just take a sell near that of the high. When the high is not being breached for more than 30 minutes, 2 hours, then try to keep stop at entry once the position makes profit and try to book profit. So objectively we focus only on the trade, not on the sentiments associated with various currencies. But in the case of Australian dollar and Canadian dollar, they are expected to make more USD gaining moves. So try to take positions accordingly. In the case of Australian dollar, whenever there is a quick rise, you try to take a sell and buy trade. In the case of Canadian dollar, whenever there is a quick drop, you try to do a buy and sell trade. That will be more promising for you. With regard to the initial lows and the highs, Euro formed the low 1.3503, 1.3537 is the high, and they are not breached the high at the low. Currently, you come across about 5 pips negative net change in the case of Euro. And GBP 1.5736 is the low. They are closer to low 1.5743. They are trading currently in order to create the bearish sentiment. You know that GBP is the currency which is used to create that market sentiment. And you know on Friday, for the US session, they quickly gained the levels in the case of GBP followed by that of Euro. And Euro went up to 1.36 and they quickly booked the profit and start supporting the market around 1.35. So this is how they booked the profit in the market, and it shows when they have gone to 1.36, it shows that a lot of traders have started taking sell positions in order to quickly grab money without understanding at the lowest level they are trying to do the sell and buy trade. So that is why they made a quick upward stop and dropped it and they just held it because they booked a profit and they wanted to buy back. And on either side, on the downside 1.34, they just bought it and booked a profit around 3.5 and then took it up to 3.6 and booked a profit of their further longs and then dropped it and start supporting it. This way, either way, they booked a profit in the case of Euro, so that they will be able to buy around 1.35 and continue to buy and take it up, so that the average will be still below that of 1.434 or 33, and that will give a comfortable position for them. They need not pay any extra margin while taking further higher level positions because they are to necessarily make the markets to move, and it is not that they try to keep some orders and if the orders are filled they can just trade from there like us, whereas the players have to make the either way swings in the market in order to induce the traders to commit positions and then subsequently lose the money in the market when they become emotional. So they try to target only the emotional traders, and you would have realized that they drop it to buy and quickly gain it to sell, book profit in their positions. So a drop is not really a bearish market, whereas they are the buyers, and the rise is not a bullish market because they are sellers. So keep that in mind and trade along with them. You will be able to really make money out of the market. In the case of USD CHF, 91.62 is the low and they are not breached it. They are staying closer to that. Probably they may make a brief downward stop if needed in order to make a downward stop in the case of Euro CHF and also USD CHF and hit the stops and buy and then take it above that of 91.82, which is also not far off from that of the current middle level consolidation. Then in the case of USDN, 76.77 is the low, 76.92 is the high, a narrow spread is seen. Avoid taking positions here. They may just make a contrarian move in order to handle the crosses. So it is not ideal time to take positions, either a sell or a buy trade. In the case of USDN, instead you can try it in other currencies. There you will be able to get a better yield. Australian dollar, sorry, I wrongly typed it for Australian dollar and Canadian dollar. So Australian dollar 0.9944 is the low and 0.012 is the initial high. They are not breached it. And in the case of Canadian dollar, 1.0276 was the low and 1.0297 is the initial high. They are not breached the low or the high in the case of Australian dollar as well as Canadian dollar. So here in the case of Australian dollar, you find that many people were asking, will it go below parity and things like that. Now it is trading below that of parity. And they could briefly go up to that of 1.0150 area and then continue the drop. They may not continue to make a very big drop in the case of Australian dollar. And you know that earlier, when a lot of people were taking positions around 1.01, 1.02, 1.06 and things like that, the players made a drop to 0.93 in order to induce them to liquidate all the long positions and then subsequently took it up to 1.04. And now they will slowly make a slide and then you'll find that it will influence Euro-Australian dollar cross in a very big way. But Australian dollar is expected to slowly come down. So any quick rise, and if you see that they are not breaching the high for more than 30 minutes to 2 hours, you can take a sell and you should be able to see profit in that on the same day or the next day. Then in the case of Canadian dollar, any dip you try to buy, they may not show the profit on the same day, but subsequently the next day they are expected to make good gains in the case of Canadian dollar. So they are expected to make less drop and more gain moves in the case of Canadian dollar and less gain and more drop moves in the case of Australian dollar. So watch that and try to take positions. Now, coming to that of the expected market moves in coming days of this particular week, I forgot to mention that. So today is 21st of November, and so market is expected to slowly gain the levels. towards close of the US session. And tomorrow they are expected to open flat and make brief downward stop. And during that of the Japanese session, afterwards they are expected to slowly gain the levels. And midweek, 23rd, Wednesday, they are expected to make either way moves for the midweek. As you know that they are expected to quickly gain the levels during that of the Japanese session, open high and then go up and then start making a slide towards close of Japanese session and start gaining the level again during that of the European session and book some profit during that of the US session. And on 24th, that is Thursday, coming Thursday, there it is a Thanksgiving Day holiday and people might be thinking that thin volume might be seen during that of the holiday. You know that earlier holiday, we have seen big gaining moves in the case of Euro and GBP. So similarly, in spite of the holiday on Thanksgiving Day, they are expected to make a quick gain in the case of Euro and GBP and also continue to gain alternatively in the case of USD Yen and USD CHF. And on Friday, 25th, you could come across again a volatile move, a quick upward gap opening and then start making a drop towards late Japanese session and then start spiking up during that of the US session, European session and hold flat on Friday during that of the US session. Then they may say that it is a thin volume market and so Euro and GBP has just gained and holding it. And then next week onwards, you will come across more visible gains in the case of Euro and GBP and also USD CHF and USD Yen. But in the case of USD CAD, they will gain the levels. That will be USD gaining more and Australian dollar is expected to lose the gains or lose the momentum on the upside and start making more slide from 28th of November onwards till year end. So you'll come across the December month, the year end moves might be very, very quick. And as you know that the next week you find that 28th, 29th and 30th fall in that week and 1st and 2nd of December fall in the same week. You know that whenever a particular month gets over in a week and the new month starts, they will restrict the volatility only to that particular week and afterwards continue the trending move. So the trending move is expected to be upward move in the case of Euro and GBP. Carefully trade without any bias and try to always control your emotions and whenever they are gaining the levels, after the gains, don't take a buy. Similarly, after the drop, don't take a sell. And that is the way they trap the traders. Don't become victim to such act and you focus only in the market that they cannot indefinitely drop or indefinitely rise the market and they have to make necessarily the swings. So when the market is near the low or when they make a downward stop or when they make an extended downward move, you try to take a buy with a hedging order to limit the risk and once the position makes profit, keep stop at entry. Then allow the market to go up, then trail the stop to protect a minimal profit and try to maximize the profit. And those who are doing the trending trade or the position trade could wait with stop at entry. They should be able to maximize the profit, about 300, 400 pips in single trade. Rather than doing so many trades with 20, 15 or 30 pips profit, you can just try to focus on that sort of position trade so that less risk and more reward trades could be seen in your trading style. As a result, you will find you will be able to really build up your equity. So let me minimize the PowerPoint presentation and take up the questions which are asked here. Meanwhile, I'll focus the camera over the live market page. Okay, Matthew has got a question. Do you perceive Euro is going below 1.34 as a downward stop? And I am not anticipating at the current moment. And so be prepared that they can just make downward stop on any time if all the traders turn long. So the focus can also go wrong with regard to the levels. So always use the hedging order or the stop to limit the risk. And once the position makes profit, keep stop at entry. But the focused algorithm does not expect much of a downward move might be a stop and below that of 1.3503 could be seen. They may show 1.3475 or 78 level at the low and then start gaining the levels during that of the European session. Then morely, will the banks also give wrong trade movements? They are the main people, they give wrong trades. In fact, those who have been trading with the banks might be aware that they give a call. They may say that there is a heavy selling orders pouring in with regard to USD yen, so better to liquidate the long position. That's what they may say. So they may induce you to sell it around 76.81 and probably it may make a drop of 10 to 15 pips. You are not going to cover it because you may not get any profit. Afterwards, it might go above that of 76.81 and going to 77, 77.50 and things like that. And they will simply keep quiet and say that at that time there was a more sell order. Subsequently, you find more buy orders coming in. And they will say that whatever the orders coming to them is the real market. But their bank dealers, they themselves are not aware that they get the sell orders to one bank and the buy orders to another bank, and thereby the circular trades are being manipulated in the market. So it is a very big conspiracy, so you cannot just like that understand. Then KSM, do you think that Euro USD can go below 33 this week? No, I am not anticipating it, sir. Then Prince, do you see GBP before 56.50 this week? No, GBP they may just similar to last week, below that of 1.57, they may just show it if needed. Otherwise, they can simply gain the levels after making a false move up to 57.36 also, in case if the traders are very bearish and taking the sell positions. And they may not make a drop and give the profit because technically it looks very weak. So many might take sell position in the case of GBP. Simply the players can trap it. So when the visible bearishness is seen, don't try to sell. When the visible bullishness is seen, don't buy, because what appears in the market is not really true. And many people say that what you see, you act. But it might be true if you are able to quickly grab about 10 to 15 pips or 20 pips. But later on, they just create the market sentiment and act against that of the traders. Keep that in mind. Then, Prince, okay, that I explained it. Then Vinay, you expect Euro to gain from 24th November or 28th November? I'm expecting Euro to gain from today after a brief downward stop or just false move up to that of the low. There are the two possibilities. And the less expectations is there could be an extended downward move for about 2 hours and then they could gain the levels. And not much of a downward fall is anticipated as far as Euro is concerned in this particular week and also coming days of this particular year. Then the visible gains could be seen after that of the Thanksgiving. So 24th is Thanksgiving and 25th the market might appear like a thin volume market, but aggressively they are expected to gain the levels. Slowly on 24th in a holiday. You know that last Friday it was a holiday and before that, and they just made a very aggressive gain of 150 pips in the case of Euro, about 175 pips in the case of GBP. So thin volume conditions they could make use of and gain the levels, absorb all the sellings from that of the traders, and then subsequently every quick rise they could just lighten their position and continue to gain, because the traders might think that okay, it has reached the upper bound of the channel, so they will try to take sell position. Then quickly they will gain the levels from there, shift it to the higher trading zone, and automatically the traders will come for short covering. And then every analyst might say that the market, the resistance has turned to be a support, so the market is expected to be bullish at that time. This is a normal scenario every time we come across. Then Phoenix, What could be the range for euro for this week? Yeah, I'm anticipating euro could go to 1.38 to 1.39 area. Then JS. Will USD CAD show 1.04 this week? Yeah, very likely it is expected to go to 1.05 area. Is there a voice problem? Because no other person is complaining, Jayesh. Then Keta. Range of USD CAD this week. USD CAD I explained just now that it could go to 1.0273 is the low, probably another 30 to 50 pips downward stop, and if they need, they may do it, and then subsequently they are expected to gain the levels to 1.05 area. What is a good resource for learning about FX options? See, first of all, there might be so many websites. You can just check in Google search FX option or Forex options. You should be able to get a lot of reading material. But you know that option market is totally different from that of the spot market. In the option market, whenever there is a bullish trend, and they may simply say that the market has discounted the levels, and sometimes you might come across the levels appearing with a discount for taking the option strike price and things like that. So that we need to understand. So they try to see that the options holders, they don't just like that book profit. So it is not that easy. It may appear that in options you have to give a less money for the leverage of positions, and the risk is also very minimal, because once the option expires, and if it is in profit or loss, the loss is determined and things like that. The margin alone will go, but they manipulate that particular market, options market. So you have to understand the trick of the trade there and try to do it, but that is not being explained in any of the books or reading material. Then Shans. Australian dollar, is it likely to test below 98? Yeah, it is likely to happen. Then the top. Is USD Singapore dollar expected to breach current range? Yeah, USD Singapore dollar is expected to slowly gain the levels, or in the sense, Singapore dollar is expected to strengthen somewhat, and probably it can go to 1.27 or 26 again, and then it might weaken later on. Then GDPT, what range do you see USD CHF? USD CHF from that of 91, 92 area, they are expected to go to 93, 95 areas soon. Then Phoenix, what is expected to for the gold and crude for the coming weeks? Gold and crude are expected to lose the levels slowly, and you could come across the stock market gaining the levels and spot currency markets gaining the levels. The commodities are coming for profit booking in this particular week and the year and time. So okay. Then DDPT, USD Singapore, what is the high for today before drop? So you can see in the live market code page, Singapore dollar is currently trading around 1.2991, 1.2997. 1.3033 is the high. You come across a negative net change of 1 pip. And probably they could make an upward stop and start losing the levels. Let me go back to the PowerPoint presentation. So expected market moves for today, swing and slide moves may be seen during the Japanese session, and a quick drop, and drop may not be a very significant drop, and in one or two pairs it might be a drop. Then afterwards the rise is expected during the European session. If the drop does not happen, understand that rise will be very severe on that side. Then US session, swing and rise moves are expected during the US session. So try to do as close of Japanese session, early European session, when they make a dip or closer to low. and try to book profit during the day. And use the hedging order to limit the risk. So we don't blindly go with it of the forecast. We always use the trading strategy to limit the risk and maximize the profit. Ultimately, our trading skill is going to give us the profit rather than the accuracy of the forecast. So with regard to initial lows and the highs, Euro and GBP, they have not breached the low or the high. Then similarly CHF, yen, then Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, all are in the range. Probably once the volume picks up, then you could come across the volatile moves coming in the market. Downward dips or buy opportunities in all the currencies excepting Australian dollar, where the gains are still opportunities. So I take this opportunity to thank FX Trade and also you people who have come here to listen to my webinar. I have already posted the expected market moves in my blog, iknowind/blog. The blog URL is given, iknowind/blog, and you can see the expected market moves there. And this webinar is being recorded, which will be displayed in archives of FX Trade, and I'll give the link in the fxtrade.net profile, under my blog. There you will be able to see the recorded webinar for your future reference in this particular week. So I take this opportunity to thank you all again. See you again tomorrow, and we will review the market and take up from there what we have studied today, or what we have learned from the market today, so that we will continue to learn and perfect our trading system. Thank you one and all.